Greetings, my good folk. It's Sureshot, Mistersureshot. And any of you guys follow me on Twitter, this video was supposed to be uploaded 2 days ago, but the rendering of the video stopped working and my computer was also bugging at the time, so I had to postpone it today, because those other days I was way too busy. So just letting you know, but my life isn't important. Let's talk about more Alice Asylum. Before I forget, make sure you sign up for the mailing list to help American with this production, by the way. It's in the subscription down below. Whoa. We have some pretty big news this week. American presented some very specific details with the in-game story. It's very interesting. So, 2 weeks ago, a lovely man named Alex, don't know his last name. However, he's helping American with the EA presentation of this game. He sends over these 3 presentation images for EA, and I'll put them on the screen right now. These images are supposed to be the pictures for EA. Don't know how the presentation works exactly. However, these images provide detail on what they're aiming for in Asylum. I love the aesthetics of each picture. However, on the Patreon, most comments shared their opinions, many of them saying that the logo should be removed due to it being redundant and keeping the small details in the corner. I fully understand where some of these guys are coming from because we know what the game is, and EA, they won't be questioning what the game is either. But either way, I love seeing both sides of the Cheshire Cat. I think he looks adorable. I love how much artwork is shown in each picture. This will definitely help them feel immersed in the presentation. So I hope it goes all well. It all looks good. Now we get into something fascinating. First off, we have this very Dr. Lau picture of the Red Queen surrounded by tentacles. Make that as you will. And actually, I think Joey commented about this picture saying that the Queen is supposed to be a disease on the world with tentacles. So I thought of making the new Queen as young Alice, seeing the fire constantly because it's her guilt that's literally eating her alive. And if the Queen is being created in the Asylum world, I think it would fit. So that's what it is there. But going to the next picture, we have this stunning photo of the Mad Hatter, the March Hare, and I have a hard time remembering the mouse. But in this image, you can see the big eye catcher, and that is the Mad Hatter looking into the mirror and remembering his old self. This image comes with a quote from Omri Koresh, the artist, and he says, "It's when the Hatter is sad about his friends that were hurt because of the explosion in the lab." In my mind, he of course blames Alice. In this image, he's looking at the glass and thinks about how he was before the accident. His body is also mechanic, of course, so he made himself higher, hence the old book version versus the games version. I think I'll call it, "I like to forget what you did," as referring to Alice. Now, I've said previously that this takes place before any of the 2 games, obviously. It's a preschool. This is supposed to be the damage that Alice goes through with the death of her family. This gets elaborated again with another picture in the same video. So the fact that the Hatter blames Alice for these misfortunate events makes you wonder what kind of weird antics did Alice go through to make the Mad Hatter, well, mad, or at least upset. Well, we may find the answer pretty soon. So now we have what looks like a good idea, or at least like a concept art of the world map of Alice Asylum. This wasn't the official map, but I want to show you guys the concept art for Madness Returns. Now, so far, I can't really compare the 2 yet, because the pencil drawing isn't finished yet. So I won't go into too much detail with both maps. I just want to show both comparisons. But one thing is different about Asylum's map compared to Madness Returns is that Wonderland is floating. Each domain is a floating isle, almost on some skies of Arcadia. It's a world in the sky. But before delving deeper into that, look at the red letters in each corner. They say the name of the domains, of course, like the Mad Hatters and the Red Queen in brackets. But then we have words like denial, depression, anger, and acceptance. Well, what does this mean? Joey and American kind of got together and they wanted to see how they can represent Wonderland in this period of history. They're thinking that each domain Alice goes through represents the stages of grief. Joey explains that the event of the game, of course, is set with the death of Alice's family. And so the beginning of the game would start with the shock value like any other normal human being. Since Wonderland is part of Alice's mind, of course, the stages would appear in different domains in this world. So with each stage, Alice slowly shifts her mood, meaning that once Alice goes past a certain stage, she won't be able to go back. Now, honestly, that part I'm a bit mixed on, and hopefully once more detail is present, I'll make a video on that. But based on this, Alice's mind is shattered like always. I'm guessing that that's the reason why Wonderland is in the sky, or in the air. The stage of shock is in the middle of the map, because anybody who's been through this emotional pass knows the feeling of grief. Wonderland is turned into Alice going afloat of confusion. Now the world is broken into floating islands for her to venture off to. This is a quote from Joey. I can imagine these pieces are floating in orbit around the Chaos Core, just like the planets are orbiting the sun. Some of the floating islands may touch from time to time, allowing Alice to jump from one to another or complete some puzzle which requires alignment of the areas. So think about the map you're drawing like a map of the solar system. There can be a variety in the orbits. They don't all have to be around the same plane. Think about an atomic orbital instead, which he provides an image of an atomic orbital to kind of layer out what he's talking about. That's fascinating, because this would explain the different tragedies that would happen throughout Wonderland because of this incident. So within each realm or each island, we would probably get a different emotional side of Alice, and it would be very interesting how this would affect the gameplay itself. The Wonderland characters right now are putting blame on Alice for these corruptions. Of course, or technically this certain corruption. Of course, she can't really do anything about it. But now the realms are going to have to concrete with each grief stage that Alice goes through. I can't really predict what would be happening in each world, but tell me in the comments below of your opinion on the stages of grief in Wonderland. How will this affect the gameplay? How will this affect the other Wonderland characters? And what danger will await Alice once she goes full circle through all the stages? If you like this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more Alice videos in the near future. This is Mr. Sureshot, and I'll see you guys on the other side.